2 races done yesterday, and we have 2 more coming up today here on Sunday. And we had some fantastic racing when it came to yesterday in race 1 and race 2, and we are hoping for more of the same in race 3 as we sort out the groups once again before the final Group A and Group C are to do battle in the next 25 minutes. Well, hello everyone, great to have your company. We'll take you to the battle screen for the moment so you're able to see the grid for this contest in the commentary box. My name is Omi, delighted to be with you as always, and we're also excited to say that for this one, we've brought in Tom Cairns. Hi Tom.
Hello Omi, hello to everyone. Yes, Group A and C raring to go on the grid. 2 groups, in case you're wondering why it's called Group A and C. The entire entry list has been split into 3 groups so that because there is a maximum capacity for number of cars in single seaters to race on each circuit, the entry list for Italian F4 this weekend has exceeded the maximum capacity for Misano, hence why it's been reduced to essentially 2/3 of the grids for the 3 group races. And we've got, I believe, 27 or 28 drivers on the grid for this 3rd race involving Group A and C. After this race, the combined results for each of the drivers, the best 36, will advance into the final race later this afternoon.
Yep, and that is going to be exciting to see. We're still trying to work out whether that can be live or not. If it isn't live, then we will make sure that we give you a recorded version. It's done in the exact same, but it will just be uploaded a little bit later on so everyone can sync up with the original pictures and enjoy that. Olivieri starting in 5th position for this contest. Will be exciting to see how he does today. But yesterday it was Sebastian Weldon who was able to get the win in race 1. It was Kei Nakamura who got the win in race 2. And it was a dominant performance from both of them soon as they got into the lead. Kei Nakamura just dominating off pole position. But now they're both on the front row. They're both going to be starting near each other. So it'll be an interesting fight between 2 of the main drivers from yesterday when it came to the winning.
Absolutely. And Olivieri looking to build on his podium yesterday in the 2nd race. And Group B have already done both their races, hence why the likes of Gabriel Gomez, Salim Hanna, Thomas Dolcemanis, Enea Frey and Luca Samalisto have all done both their qualifying races. They are very likely to be joining in the main race later on. Yeah. Looking forward to this one. Misano is a brilliant circuit. What do you reckon, Omi?
Absolutely, it's an incredible circuit, and especially with these type of cars, the racing is absolutely brilliant. While it is a MotoGP circuit, still the racing that we've seen, some brilliant overtakes like Stoltramanis making an extraordinary move yesterday to get by. We also had some great overtaking when it came to Freca last year. Their race will be held later on today as well, 4:30 UK time, 5:30 local. You can join us for that one, and it'll be right before the F1 Academy race in Miami, so it'll be a perfect timing to join us for that contest as well. Sebastian Weldon starting in 2nd position. A big moment, Tom, for feeder series racing as a whole, and a great bit of history being made yesterday with Weldon being able to take the win.
Yeah, and Sebastian Weldon, for those of you that don't know, is the son of the late Dan Weldon, who we sadly lost in that IndyCar event back in 2011, the same year as when he won the Indy 500 as well. Dan Weldon will live long in the memory even to this day. And of course, it was an emotional moment for Sebastian Weldon and for his family. For him to take a brilliant victory yesterday in the 1st race, Kei Nakamura took victory in the 2nd one. And I'll let you run down on the grid for today's race, Omi.
Yep, and they both share the front row. It's Kei Nakamura ahead of Sebastian Weldon. Maximilian Popper will go from 3rd, and then it's going to be Newman Shi who will go from 4th position for Prema. Loads of Prema drivers up there near the front of the field for this race. Olivieri is in 5th, and then we get to Alexander Bondarev, who will go from 6th position. Kabir Anurag, part of the Alpine Academy, he'll go from 7th. Maxim Rem in 8th. He was the driver who had a jump start when it came to race 1 yesterday. Alex Powell is in 9th position. Andrea Kostek is in 10th. And then we have Bart Harrison starting in 11th position for JBMotorsports. Teo Schroep is alongside, so it's an all Genza row on the grid just outside the top 10. And then we move over to the drivers in 13th and 14th, and their names are Jan Koller alongside Dante Vinci. So Van Amersfoort's driver Dante Vinci will be trying to move forward as possible to try and get himself the best result. These drivers all need to perform if they want to progress and advance into the finale. Francesco Coppola is alongside Marcus Sita, who will go from 16th position. Andrea Dupe is in 17th, and then we have David Cosma Christopher in 18th. Peyton Vescott is in 19th, and then it's Alexander Ruta who will go from 20th place on the grid. And these drivers all needing to try progress forward and keep out of trouble, as they need to get these points to try progress. Kirill Kostov is in 21st. Emmett Andrew is alongside Andre Duna, and then we have Ludovico Busso in 24th position on the grid. And then we have a couple more drivers who round out our grid, and it's Arthur Lomier, Cornela Olkutska, and then it's Nathaniel Berraby who will go from 27th. A big grid, definitely a grid with challenging names, and they're all about to do battle on this circuit with a formation lap about to begin.
Yeah, some of these will have been competing in their first ever single-seater championship this year. It is Formula 4 after all. A shout out to Cornelia Olkucha and Peyton Westcott, two female drivers in this field. Emily Kotz has done both of her qualifying races yesterday. She is expected to be involved in the main race today. So they all go off on their formation lap around Misano, and they'll be looking to get off to a good start. 2.6 miles to circuit, 4.2 kilometers if you prefer. 7 rounds of Italian Formula 4 again this year. We're not going to Paul Ricard or Red Bull Ring like we have done in previous years. It's Misano first, and it's to Vallelunga in 3 weeks' time. Monza towards the end of June, and it's to Mugello mid-July. Beginning of August sees the championship head to Imola, and it's off to Barcelona in mid-September, and then we return for the season finale at today's venue, Misano, on the 10th to the 12th of October.
It's going to be fascinating when we do get back here. More on the line, completely different approach for the drivers to be taken. We'll get a better idea of how our championship looks by then. So it's going to be quite a lot of fun to see how this entire season is going to play out. Loads of talented drivers. You're of course going to see other drivers jumping in as well for races. The entry list will always change. It won't always be this 41, so there may even be 3 races for certain weekends where we don't need the finale to be held, and we can have all of the drivers racing across 3 events. So that's also something to keep an eye on throughout this season. But loads of great tracks, and it's exactly what the drivers need before they progress to levels exactly like Freca, which we do share the weekend with quite a lot. And then of course eventually, hopefully, Formula 3, Formula 2, and they'll hope to end up in Formula 1.
Well, that's the aim for these drivers. The likes of Ollie Behrman, the likes of Lance Stroll, Dennis Hauger has won this championship in the past. I really cannot wait to find who is going to be the next big star in the field. And of course, Kimi Antonelli dominated this championship in 2022. He's looking to advance as well. And Freddie Slater, last season's champion, now competing in the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine, who has also done a round in the Formula 3 Championship in Bahrain earlier this year for AIX Racing.
Freddie Slater definitely continuing to progress when it comes to his motorsport career. He of course broke Antonelli's record last year, broke loads of records last year in this championship. But yes, Antonelli, the winner of this in 2023, has gone on to progress to Formula 1 and become a pole sitter when it comes to the sprint shootout. So he's definitely announced himself properly this weekend, and it's great to see. But it all started with this championship when it was Lance Stroll who became the first champion, and we've come a long way since, claiming so many other drivers and helping them progress, even if it's Dennis Hauger ending in series like the Indy Next as well. So it's going to be quite a lot. It's going to be quite a lot of fun to see who's going to be the next one of those stars as everyone gets themselves into position on the grid. This is the 3rd race of the weekend, and it is Group A versus Group C. Group B have done all they can. They will sit and watch with the rest of us as the 5 red lights come on screen. 4, 5. Italian F4 is racing once again. Good reaction time off the line for the pole sitter. Key Nakamura Roberto will hold the lead into turn 1. Sebastian Weldon's in second, then it is Maximilian Popov around the outside. That is a great launch off the line for Kabir Anurag, who's gained a couple of positions. Exactly the start that the Alpine back driver wanted as we go side by side further back.
Nice start there. There was a staller on the grid, but everyone had managed to avoid it. And so they get round the first part of the lap before they get to the hairpin, before the first sector is out. And it's a reasonable start, Omi, from the pack as they all make their way through this particular part of the course. We've seen incidents around here yesterday, but the seems to have got through. There is someone running wide at the back as Nakamura leads. It's Weldon, Popov, Anurag, who's made a brilliant few positions, and it's Olivieri, Bondarev, Chi, Rem, and Powell in the top 9.
A really, really fascinating start to the race. Bondarev is trying to defend further back. They're all still duking it out in the mid-pack, as we would expect. Drivers trying to gain positions when it is easiest to. While we have seen plenty of overtakes, they have definitely been tricky, and it definitely has taken a lot for these drivers to make those overtakes. Maxim Vrem was trying to dart out of the slipstream to try get away by in the background, and we have a car off the road. That is going to be Peyton Vescott. Disappointment for her. She's off the road.
Yeah, it's a terrible shame. I don't know if she's come together with someone there as Peyton Westcott, so that's a round already. Through another hairpin they come then, the drivers. I wonder if we're going to get an early safety car. Yes, we do, so we've got a chance to just take a little bit of a breather before we go back to racing. But a brilliant start for Nakamura Berta to head into the lead ahead of Weldon, and yeah, let's see if he can hold on to it and take his second victory of the weekend.
Yep, so that will be interesting to see, and it's great that we do get to see the two winners both now battle it out in this race. But yes, Peyton Vescott, that will be the race coming to a close for the Van Amersfoort driver. We're going to take a look at a replay to why it happened. Is she just going to run wide on her own and then lose it and stall it?
It looks like she's had a puncture.
Oh, puncture, yes.
She's had yeah, right rear.
Oh, that is going to be really disappointing. I wonder if it was contact earlier on in the lap then, possibly for her.
Yeah, there was a car going wide on the exit before that small back straight before she spun around there. Almost like she's limping a little bit there. But no, I think she's walking gingerly away. She'll be really disappointed with that because she was hoping to get some a strong result out of this one. She could be a contender to possibly be on the F1 Academy grid next year, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember bringing that name up to our current F1 Academy lead commentator, Jess, when we were discussing a little bit about that championship, about her possibly being one of those next drivers. And for example, Ava Dobson, I think it was loads knew as well that she was going to get a chance, and now she's got a chance as a wild card this weekend, and then she'll also get a chance for a full time, hopefully. We'll hope next season, progressing from that GB championship as well. But yes, F1 Academy racing later on today, so definitely do tune in to that one. It will be on air from 6 o'clock UK time, in Italian time zone, as I know we are commentating on a race currently in Italy. It will be 1 hour later at 7. That's when our broadcast will be on, and hopefully everything does go to time with some of these schedules, with the rain as well possibly interfering with stuff. But we're about to go racing once again here in Italian F4 Race 3.
Yeah, and we've just seen the positions gain, and Anurag up 3 positions from his starting spot. What is Nakamura Berta going to do on this restart? He needs to time this to perfection. Highly regarded driver is Nakamura Berta, and he's looking to carry that form into the restart here. 21 minutes to go plus 1 lap, and he leads the way with Sebastian Weldon in second place.
So, a nicely judged restart. Kabir Anurag going right over to the grass, running super wide, and that's going to mean he's under pressure from Olivieri, who's trying to go to the outside line into turn number 1. Is he going to be able to go all the way around the outside? He's definitely keeping his foot in. Kabir Anurag really having to go on the defensive on this restart, a defense that he couldn't complete, and we have Olivieri who's gained that position.
Nicely done there from Olivieri around the outside into turn 1, and he had to make that step because of the medium speed nature of the corner that was coming up. And so he's passing through into 4th place. We've just seen the field headed through the first sector again. No such dramas so far. They're all behaving themselves at this point. But Nakamura Berta doing everything right so far. Ahead of Weldon. And it's Popov in 3rd place. Olivieri there. We just see a battle going on further behind through the left-hander. That will be at the back end of the top 10. Involving the likes of Powell, Kostic and all that.
Bondarev now trying to put the pressure on. It was a great start off the line for Kabir Anurag. He gained quite a lot of positions, coming from outside the top 6, ending up all the way in 4th. Quite a great start from him. And now he's not having the restart at all because he's under pressure from Bondarev, trying to pull to the outside line. Loads of Prema cars trying to go on the attack. Is Bondarev going to be able to keep his foot in? They will remain side by side as we go through the next few corners. He has to back out of it at this stage, and Anurag just coming all over the road to defend this position, just making sure he's defending the right spots at this stage to stay ahead of the Premas.
Yeah, Anurag is having to really fight it here. Got the two Premas of Bondarev and Chi closing him down all the time. And you could just see further up there, there's one of the Venomous was running wide. We've seen a number of drivers running wide at this last corner before the pit straight. I'm sure track limits will be looked into during the course of this race. So on to the next lap they go then, as we've seen a gaggle of cars fighting for position. There are the top four. There is a battle raging there between Popov and Olivieri now for third place. Olivieri looking very, very confident as we begin this particular tour. And they come to turn number 4. We've just seen a move there. I couldn't quite see who that is. There is one of the Premas that has to be the number 80. Oh, that's Bondarev, isn't it? Behind Anurag for 5th position.
Yep, so that's the battle that is going on. It's getting super tight, and that is going to be a late lunge on the brakes. Maxim Rem trying to defend up against Alex Powell. Alex Powell is going to get the run as they remain side by side, heading through the next few couple of corners. Will they still be side by side, or are we going to see Alex Powell back out of it? I think he just did at that moment. Nice
battle going on between Rem and Powell. Coming out of Tremonto and onto this long back straight before they head through a sequence of right-handers. You can just see that Powell is behind there, and I think Harrison is in the battle of his own with Kostic for 10th place for the final championship point. And we've seen some moves going on further, but there are the two Premas of Bondarev and Chi. Neiman Chi, who is one of the rookies in the field. Looking at the highest rookie in the field, that has to be Bondarev, who's running in 6th position. He's going very, very nicely so far in this one.
He absolutely is. Battle for third position across the line. Olivieri, who went on the attack yesterday, then found himself on the defensive as he used too much of his tyres. We'll be hoping not to do the exact same thing today, but he right now is trying to get a spot on the roster with 17 minutes and 20 seconds on the clock to go. So, our top 4 are in formation. Kabir Anurag was able to maintain that 5th, at least for the moment, and Bondarev will not want to give that one up. They're still all battling, of course they are, in the background of our shot. That is going to be the Van Amersfoort diving to the inside of Alexander Ruta, who's able to take the position. So a nice tidy pass being made, and you need to make those tidy moves as well to try keep it on the road, and then also not to lose too much time to the cars ahead.
Yeah, it was a good move there from Ruta, the Polish driver, who's another one of the rookies in the field. He's doing to 15th place. We've just seen Weldon sticking to Nakamura Bertha like glue at the moment. Likewise with Olivieri, with Popov out of Tremonto once more. So we've got a battle for the lead, a battle for the final podium position, and a battle for 5th place.
Yep, it's all action, of course it is. In Italian F4, gravel being kicked up further back as these drivers try to extract absolutely everything they can at this stage. And you've got Andrea Kostic trying to go on that defensive. It is super tight as they roar their way by at this stage, and it's going to be still Harrison trying to see where the opportunity is, and they're all now coming in this train as we're also side by side further back. So some fantastic racing going on while the top 2 still wait for their opportunities, and still it is in formation as Newman and also at the same time Bondarev both trying to attack Anurag. So some fantastic trains beginning to form and beginning to develop as we see all of the different pace of the drivers start to come into play.
Yeah, Weldon's finding his form a little bit. New fast up of the race, 135.8 for the American. The man who is racing. Just trying to find the team that Weldon is racing for, because there's so many teams in this championship, some of which aren't as recognisable as others. You may have to fill me in on that whilst I'm looking at it.
Yeah. It looks like he's driving for Prema, but he's got a different livery, I believe. That's what's going on with that.
Yeah, that'll be a sponsor thing, isn't it? Yeah. So yeah, that's Sebastian. So it's essentially Nakamura Bert's teammate is Sebastian Weldon. We've got Popov in 3rd place, for Van Amersfoort Racing, and Olivieri is competing. So we just see a battle going on further behind here. That's the number 35 coming through on the inside. This is at the back end of the field, I believe. Right at the back end of the field. and he's gone through at last.
Yeah, absolutely. Cornelia was battling as well, so great to see her getting involved in the mix as well. We're still side by side further back as some battles continue to develop, and they're all right now just trying to get information while also trying to dive, bomb, and make some overtakes as well. And that is definitely going to be a bit of a move attempted coming in from Ludovico Busso. Wasn't able to get by, so just that's a few looks as well, trying to force some mistakes and possibly a lockup out of your rivals as well. We do see some half looks being attempted by those drivers as they try basically scare each other off the road to see if there's any opportunities.
14 minutes plus 1 lap to go then in this third qualifying race of the weekend involving groups A and C. And the combined best results from each driver will go through to the last race that's been held later this afternoon here in Misano. The first of 7 rounds of the 12th edition of the Italian Formula 4 Championship. I'm really enjoying this race so far with the battling we are seeing, some of which is their first race weekend in single-seaters, although for those of the veterans likes of Nakamura Roberto, who's already got some Italian Formula 4 experience underneath him. He's raced in the championship last year, think of it, Nakamura Roberto. He's going very well this time around. Further back, we're seeing a battle for the final podium position between Popov and Olivieri, who have been able to pull away from Anurag, who has got Bondarov and Chi for company. And then it's just those behind battling for the remaining spots just to ensure they get a place on the grid, because those who have had a non-finish yesterday cannot afford to have another one today. So they just want to make sure they get to the end of this one so they can take part in the main race later.
Yeah, absolutely. We're seeing some fantastic racing, as you mentioned. I'm really looking forward to when we head to some other circuits that are actually meant to be for Formula racing cars as well. We're going to go absolutely wild when it comes to those racing as well, especially like circuits like Monza, which I have been told, and I have heard, that there is usually a lot of safety cars when it comes to it, because there's a lot of battling like we're seeing further back, and that is going to be super tight stuff down into the first turn of this racetrack. And it was a big moment coming in for Francesco Coppola, who was really having to go on the defensive, and they were all over the grass.
Yeah, that was the bit between the teeth stuff, wasn't it? And they're going into battle once more into turn number 4, and the number 22 remaining in front. No harm done there at all. The number 22 was Berraby, hold of the number 87. And now they're coming out Tremonto again onto the back straight. We're already halfway through this one with Nakamura Roberto leading the way. 7/10 clear of Weldon in the last sector. Yeah, they're all in single file. I think they're just settling into a rhythm now in this race. I think they know that they don't want to take too many risks at this point in case it results in the worst case scenario. They're not competing in the main race later.
Yeah, it's risk versus reward stuff. You don't want to find yourself spinning to the back of the field, even if you are one of our front contenders and you know you have good pace and you know that there will be opportunities in race 4 where the drivers will be taking more and more risks, as Olivieri runs very wide over the curve, slightly bouncing over that curve as well. We are seeing so many drivers take that wide line, but that was all over the place as well, and sometimes it can mean that your car is unsettled heading down towards the first turn of the racetrack. But yes, race 4 is going to be very, very interesting as well when it comes to how the drivers handled that. We kind of usually see it in the final race of the weekend. You don't, you can just completely use up the tire. You can completely go for it while you are trying to score points and make sure that you score some good points. The more and more risks will be taken. So it'll be nice to see how that race is going to play out. The 4th race it will be of the weekend as well. As we mentioned, Frecker coming up later on. Bondarev has got a chance up against Kabir Anurag. This is the closest he's been for a while at this stage. He's really had to sit in behind. So he's now forcing Anurag onto some defensive shapes through the middle part of the lap.
Well, this is a nicely performed drive from Keen Nakamura Roberto for Sebastian Weldon, who both on course to add to their point totals from yesterday. Salim Hanna, who's done both of his qualifying races yesterday, will have a chance to go into combat later on with the likes of Weldon and Nakamura Roberto at the same time. But you could just see Anurag and Bondarev fighting it out there. There is the Prema behind it almost looks like an Alpine livery car, but it's actually not. It'll be one of the teams of which Anurag is part of, and they make their way through. The number 19 of Kabir Anurag from Singapore, part of the US racing squad.
Yes, absolutely. Into turn number 1 we go. And Kabir Anurag just making sure that he can be on the defensive. But yes, he is part of that Alpine backed academy. He's one of the only drivers who actually has an academy on this field right now. So it's great to see, and it makes our life a lot more easier when it comes to identifying him as well. In the pink colours, you can see the BWT to the side of the car on the side pod. And he's doing a really good job when it comes to defending. He's only really been under pressure that lap. So he's done well. He's done well to make sure that he's been able to keep a gap. But yeah, it doesn't look like he has the best of pace. So he's just making sure that he has enough to maintain the positions. As we're going to go side by side further back.
Yeah, this is Alex Powell behind Maxime Rem for 8th place. There is the RHGP car of Alex Powell looking to the outside, heading towards Tremonto. It'll be very difficult to pull it off there, but we see the two Premers of Chi and Bondarov swapping places. They're going side by side now on this long back straight. And I think the one on the outside here of Bondarov is going back through, but she is not giving it up by any means. They just need to be careful that they leave each other enough room before they get to the braking zone of the hairpin. And so they live to fight another day. Bondarov now back ahead of Chi.
Yep, so some great battling going on between these two drivers. Really, really great to watch. And it's going to continue on further back. As still, we are seeing Maxim Rem up against Alex Powell. And we are out of the final corner, down the start-finish straight towards turn number 1. Even though it is every driver for themselves, you are in the same debrief with the Prema team later on, so you definitely have to think a little bit extra when battling your teammate, just to leave that extra little space. But yes, it is every driver for themselves when it comes to this championship. All of this battling though, Tom, is allowing Anurag up the road, 1.3 seconds separating those two now.
Yeah, Anurag doing a fine job with his defensive driving, and with Bondarov and Chi fighting between themselves. And we're not seeing too much of Nakamura, Berta and Weldon, but we should have a look at the battle involving Popov and Oliveira. We just saw it for a brief moment, those two going through the left-hander of the lap. It's the Casilla hairpin that they've just gone through. And, we've only got 7 minutes of this race remaining. Looking at the amount of time we've got, we're probably looking at 6 more laps of racing, including this one. Providing we don't get any more interventions in this, we are looking good to the finish. But the battling is far from over with Popov. Sorry, not Popov. Powell behind Maxime Rem for 8th place. There are the top two in your picture, the two Premers, albeit in different liveries to each other. Nakamura, Berta and Weldon coming through the remaining corners of the lap. And there we see Popov and Olivieri in 3rd and 4th.
So we're getting to watch and see all of these different battles across this circuit. Is there going to be any moves? It's super tight still in the battle for 3rd position as we make our way out of the final corner. But yes, this is the moment where Olivieri wants to get the position. He's super tight to the Van Amersfoort, really, really close, and he is actually going to now get a chance because the Van Amersfoort of Popov all over the road as he was trying to defend. And here's the chance for Olivieri. Has had to sit in behind for a while, now has the chance to fling it around the outside. Can he try get the cutback? Can he try get to the inside part of the circuit? These two battling hard at this stage of the contest. It is the up and under being attempted multiple times by Olivieri, but still not coming to any good use at this stage. Popov exactly placing the car in the right places.
Yeah, Olivieri had to lift off to make sure he didn't run into him. That was great defensive driving from Popov throughout that first sector of the course. What can he do from here on in? And can he keep hold of that final spot on the podium? Popov, who, just looking where he is from, we're just getting a replay here, look, of the battle between the drivers in 3rd and 4th. Actually, there might have been contact, There might have been contact between Popov and Olivieri, but they're going into combat once more.
Contact a few moments ago, but they are going back into battle as you mentioned right now. Popov really on the defensive, and once again it's going to be the similar story. Olivieri trying to get the better lines, and he's going to try draw alongside. Popov brilliant with the defense once again, but for how much longer can he keep it up? He's defending to the inside. Will that compromise his run down the start finish straight now? Because Olivieri immediately alongside, they are side by side across the line as they do battle for third position with 4 minutes and 40 seconds plus a lap to go in this race. Olivieri doesn't want to give it up. He's prepared to go around the outside, and Olivieri with a super move to take the final spot on the podium.
Nicely done there from Olivieri up round the outside of Popov. In the end, that was something he tried to do on the previous lap, but it wasn't quite alongside to make it work. But this time, he made it work. Brilliant done from Maximilian Popov. He won't have time to catch Nakamura Berta and Weldon, but you just want to make sure he keeps hold of the final podium ahead of Popov. Olivieri has driven a beautiful race so far. Starting, where was he? He was 5th on the grid. He's now up into 3rd place, on course to add to his total already from this weekend. Olivieri, who picks up a podium in race 2, now looking good for another podium here today.
Yes, it's really looking good for Olivieri at this stage. Popov, though, still in the wheel track, so Olivieri cannot fully relax at this stage. He still has to look in the left and the right mirror as the Van Amersfoort following in really close proximity right now, really close to the back. So at any point there could be a dive bomb that catches Olivieri out, and that was a super move as we mentioned earlier on in the lap to get by at turn number 1. Right now he's just trying his best to defend. Further back, Bondarev is back up to Anurag. So Anurag, who had the chance to pull away, has now been caught back up to Bondarev. So Bondarev displaying his pace once again. He'll need to try pull off a similar move to what we've just seen from Olivieri, but time is ticking and laps are going to be running out.
Yeah, they got over the line. I would say they've got 3 more laps to go here, Omi. Looking, there is the RHGP car. Looking strong as ever, just ahead of Popov. And what a brilliant drive it's been so far from Olivieri, Emanuele Olivieri. It's a home circuit for him, as it will be for most of which of this year. Hoping to make his way up the junior series. A very promising prospect. I remember watching him through the Middle East race. I think it was the F4 Middle East Championship earlier this year, where Olivieri absolutely impressed everyone, including the commentator for that particular reason. He won the championship in the Formula 4 Middle East earlier this year for RHGP. Olivieri is living up to his name this time around.
He is indeed showing his class, showing his talent. It's great to see, and it's drivers like this that, if you follow these type of categories that you're trying to keep an eye on, as then they eventually get up to FRECA next year, then a route will open up to go to Formula 3, and as we described it earlier on, they will hope, if they continue doing well, to get to Formula 2 and eventually reach Formula 1, but they'll deal with that later on. Harrison Barter just moved up, I can see, to 11th position, so that's a switch coming in. Bart Harrison able to get by, and he was able to overtake Jan Koller.
Well, there are the leaders of Nakamura, Berta and Weldon. Anurag is still holding on just about ahead of Bondarev, but that battle is far from over for 5th position. And we've got Rem and Powell refusing to leave each other as well. Refusing to leave each other alone is what I was meant to be saying. And we've got the battle for the final podium position between Kostic and Harrison. Now, Kostic and Harrison have both picked up points from their races yesterday. Andrea Kostic and Bart Harrison. Can they get anything out of this, with there being only a couple of laps to go? They might actually sneak in another lap, but my gut instinct tells me that it'll reach 0 before they cross over the line.
Yeah, we're going to wait and see, but brilliant performance from Key Nakamura Berta. It was a race where Sebastian Weldon was basically following closely, and as Powell is battling with Rem further back for 8th, it was a race which Nakamura Berta, any lockup, any big mistake, that would have been the lead gone. Weldon just remained in close proximity all the way throughout, and it's exactly what he needed to do. Of course, he's not going to risk it and try go all wild to try take that win away at this stage. He'll definitely believe that he can do it later on in race 4, but it was brilliantly judged by Key Nakamura. If there was any mistakes, if there was any moments in that, it could have all gone wrong for him.
They just got over the line, the leaders. I think they just got over the line with 2 seconds still to go. 2 laps remaining then, if that is the case. Nakamura and Weldon looking strong. And this is a move, this has to be from Alex Powell on Andrea Kostic into the left-hander there. And Powell got through at last.
Brilliant stuff to get by as well, and it was contact further back involving we had Andrea Dupa, I think, as well, and also involved was Kryl Kutskov. So those were the 2 drivers that got really tight together, and it was Kutskov who had a trip through the gravel trap there. Still, this battle rages on between Anurag and Bondarev, but time is ticking, and we're on the penultimate tour, and Bondarev has to make his move now if he wants to take P5.
Yeah, he wants to make it very soon. Bondarev, the highest of the rookies in the field, in 6th place, ahead of Neiman Chi. There is a rookie championship in Italian Formula 4, not just the main one. And the highest of the rookies over the course of the weekend has been Salim Hanna, who won both rookie races in races 1 and 2. Can he make it a hat-trick for himself, the Colombian, later today? Artem Severukin, who is also done both of his qualifying races, or group races, I should say, and it's Bader Al Salati, who picked up 2 5th places in the rookie race, or rookie group races, to find himself up there. Neiman Chi could well move into 2nd place at this rate.
I think Bondarev has just got by, so it'll be interesting to see whether he has been able to do so. I think we just also had Jan Koller dropping down our timing board. So a lot going on as we roar onto the final lap. It's all going to happen on this last lap now. Anurag is back ahead of Bondarev, so that battle is just going on, and they've also got Newman in the mix as well. So a 3-way battle that we're going to have to see who's going to take it in terms of 5th. Anurag, who's been able to hang on to that position all the way through. Can he do it now on the last lap? That will be the interesting question, as we have Seita getting the black and white flag. 1 second out in front between Key Nakamura. If he can just control this all the way to the end, he'll be the victor.
But Harrison has finally got through on Andrea Kostic for the final point for 10th place. And Newman Cheese picks up the black and white flag. That'll be for track limits. He just needs to be on his toes for this last tour and make sure he doesn't exceed track limits again. Otherwise, he will pick up a time penalty, which will most likely drop him out of the points. But what a drive again from Nakamura and also from Weldon. I think when you look at the gap that they've got over the others, you could just tell that they are 2 of which are going to be fighting for the title this year and are tips for a bright future in motorsport.
Yeah, absolutely. Key Nakamura, Sebastian Weldon, both driving for the Prema team. They're driving that Prema team all the way to the end of the lap and all the way to victory in the 3rd race of the weekend. Action behind, dominant at the front of the field. Key Nakamura weaves to victory once again. It is 2 races in a row for the Prema man. Sebastian Weldon will try give him challenge later on in the 4th race of the weekend. Olivieri with a great move to get P3. He was able to keep it all the way to the end. It's super tight over the line in the battle for 5th, but it's going to be Kabir Anurag who is going to beat home Bondarev and Newman. And after all of the fighting they had on the last lap, they somehow finish in the same order. Powell is in 8th, Rem is in 9th, and it's Bart Harrison in 10th position. But the day so far belongs to Key Nakamura. Now the question is, can he win it all in race 4?
Well, he's got in for the hat-trick. We've seen that on a number of times before in this series. Freddie Sato, I believe, was one of those that won it last year in that run of victories he had put on. But what a drive from Key Nakamura, who had driven a beautiful race from pole position ahead of Sebastian Weldon. The 2 on the front row going very nicely here. And they won't have long to wait, and they won't have time to go down on all of the data throughout the race before they go back onto the grid for race number 4, the main race. But a brilliant drive from Anurag to get up to 5th place from where he started. And congratulations to Bondarev, finishing highest of the rookies.
Yeah, a great performance from Bondarev when it came to attacking driving, and Anurag when it came to defensive. Loads of different drivers showing their class, and this is exactly, Tom, what F1 teams will be looking for. Not just the results, but also different traits of the drivers as well. As a lot goes on in the races, which doesn't always get reflected when it comes to the championship standings.
Well, the standings will be updated in due course. But with 2 wins from his 2 great races, Keen Nakamura leads the Drivers' Championship. How long will he stay there? Will he be able to keep hold of that by the end of today? No points for fastest up. It is just the top 10 finishes like it is in Formula 1 that score points.
Yeah, that was a rule change, of course, for Formula 1 coming into this year. Formula 2 and 3, of course, still utilise that at this stage. Let's take a look then at our results from this session, and it was Keen Nakamura, a brilliant winner ahead of Sebastian Weldon, those two will be ones to watch throughout the season, fighting at the front of the field. Olivieri was in 3rd, and then it was Popov in 4th, Anurag with a great defensive drive to 5th, Bondarev and Newman missed out, Alex Powell was in 8th, then it was Max and Rem ahead of Bart Harrison. Those drivers were 9th and 10th. Just outside the top 10 we found ourselves coming in with Andrea Kostic, so that was a great result from him as well. As we try bring you the rest of the results, looks like the World Feed has had some issues when it's come to that as well. They couldn't get the graphic on screen, so you can see Andrea Kostic was in 11th, Dante Vinci was in 12th, and then it was Alexander Ruta in 13th, Ter Schrupp was in 14th, Marcus Sita got the black and white flag but still drove a great result to 15th position. It was David Christopher in 16th. We had Charles Dupe in 17th, Ludovico Busso in 18th, and then it was Francesco Coppola, Nathaniel Berraby, who improved well, Kirill Kutskov, and then we have Emil Tanju, Andre Duna, Artur Lomier, Jan Koller, and then at the back of the field we had Cornelia Olkutska, and Peyton Vescott was a retirement early on in the opening minutes of the race.
A solid race, not too much drama. It was a shame for Peyton Westcott going round with that puncher. But hopefully she will be back for the main race later. So I think she has done enough to be involved in that. We'll see soon enough. Bondarev certainly will be taking part. I'm just looking to see who else has had decent races who have done enough to get through. I think Alexander Ruta has done enough to get through. But I'm not sure about Cornelia Olkucha. Where did Olkucha finish, Omi?
So, the results have just gone off our screen at this stage, up here in the commentary box, as you can pretty much see as well. But we're going to try work that out as we hear from our race winner, Keen Nakamura.
Me and Seb throughout, just making sure that stayed in front and yeah, it was pretty good, to be honest. Losing quite a lot down the straights, just with the slipstream, but yeah, we're strong in the first and last sector. Car-wise, it was pretty good. So yeah, can't be happier. It's a good way. 2 out of 2 so far. We'll see how the next race goes, but big thanks to Prema. Mega job by them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, yes, great to hear from Keen Nakamura as we take a look at some of the highlights from that race.
Yep, so it was a super start from the top 2. Nakamura and Weldon getting off the lights. The reaction times seemed to be very, very similar to each other. And it wasn't long before we saw Peyton Westcott pick up her problem in the Van Amersfoort racing car going round at the Cassia hairpin. And that was an early retirement that brought out the safety car, albeit for 1 lap before we resumed racing. And on the restart, we saw Emanuele Olivieri send one around the outside of Kabir Anurag to go into 4th place. And there is some defensive driving from Anurag on the 2 Premas of Bondarev and Chi. And this was the moment where Emanuele Olivieri got into the final podium position by passing the Van Amersfoort. And there is the checkered being waved to the top 2 of Keen Nakamura and Sebastian Weldon as they celebrate another brilliant drives on the pair of them. And I'm sure we'll see more of that over the course of the next 6 rounds after today.
Yep, it was 26th position in the race today for Cornelia Olkutska as well. Onto the podium come our top 3, and it will be a deserving podium for them around this circuit. And we will now look forward and look ahead to the next race that will be coming up of course, we have got, at the same time, we have still got the World Superbikes that was going on. Their Super Pole race, they've got their race 2 as well later on. IndyCar Barber warm-up is on from 2. We have the Formula E race on from 1:30. And then we'll be back straight after the Formula E race, which is quite nice timing, to be fair, for the Freca Misano race 2. And then we'll also be bringing you, I'll be bringing you, along with Tom, the F1 Academy race later on from 6. And then the Italian F4 race will most likely be on record unless there is some delays. We've already got the stream ready in case we are able to do it. Let's say in case Miami has some weather troubles and we are able to somehow do it, then that will be very interesting. Okay, time for the national anthem.
Un bel applauso al podio, please. All the drivers.
41 drivers have raced so far. The first 3 races.
They have indeed. Thank you very much, Ian. And to quickly finish off on the schedule as well, and then we'll be back for Formula 1 from 8:15. You'll have the IndyCar race going on as well, taking place from 6:15. So quite a lot going on as well, along with the NASCAR race. So yes, there's quite a lot going on, Tom. Lots of motorsports for everyone to enjoy across the board.
And once again, a very busy weekend for JB Motorsports with all the action coming up. There is obviously, we've still got the Italian Formula 4 main race to come. We've got Freca, there's a bit of NASCAR, a bit of IndyCar, there's F1 Academy, there's the Grand Prix later today. Should it happen, of course, bar the weather, there is expected to be thunderstorms of some capacity over in Miami. In terms of how intense that will be is anyone's guess, unless you are someone who's over in Miami. Do please let us know the situation over there. So this Italian Formula 4 race, I'm just waiting for the standings to update so that we know who is competing in the main races later. I don't think Cornelia Alcuccia has done enough to be in the top 36 to be involved in the main race, which is a shame. But there's always next time in Vallelunga in a few weeks.
Yep, there absolutely is always that little bit of extra time as well to hopefully see some stuff. And we've currently find ourselves with a really exciting we currently find ourselves with a really exciting race 4 coming up, no matter what the grid is. Do we know where the F1 Academy later will be affected by any of the thunderstorms, or is it set for the Grand Prix?
It's mainly for the Grand Prix, but I have looked at the forecast. If I get, say, if I just have a look again, bearing in mind this is Miami time, not over here, so they're 7 hours behind us.
Yeah.
It's Miami. Thunderstorms not expected to hit. I think the earliest we expect it will be at 2 o'clock over in Miami, which is after the F1 Academy race has finished. So we expect the F1 Academy race to be dry, and then it's a question mark as to whether we will get any thunderstorms at all or anything like that. But we've mentioned yesterday that with the Floridian laws, that if any lightning does hit the circuit, then it's a big no-no for any form of motorsport to be competing.
Yeah, absolutely. That is just the rule as well, so it will have to immediately be stopped if that is to be the case. Have the standings updated?
I'm just having a look to see. Just bear with. Some of it has. Most of it has. Yeah, Cornelia Alcuccia has not done it. So I think the 5 we expect to lose are Alexander Reuter, Theo Schropp, David Walter, Cornelia Alcuccia, and Arthur Lorimier. Now, subject to any drivers that can't take the start for the main race for whatever reason, the next highest would take their place, which is Alexander Reuter. But for Theo Schropp, David Walter, Cornelia Alcuccia, and Arthur Lorimier, it's the end of the weekend for them.
Yep, the rest will all progress to battle in the finale here at Monza. It will be a really fascinating race 4. Well, Tom, that'll bring the end to our show right now as well. We've got the Formula E qualifying that is going on at this stage, which you can go join on JB Motorsports. But Tom, what's your final thoughts then from Italian F4 Race 3 and your thoughts heading into the finale Race 4 later?
Well, it's been a promising weekend for the likes of Nakamura, Berta and Weldon, and of course for Salim Hanna, who put in consistent performances. I'm looking forward to see how they all really get on here, because this is going to be the first race where they are all competing at the same time. So I expect to see some ding-dong battles all the way through race 4. And who knows, if we get a brilliant sequence of battling, hopefully not too many incidents that could bring the safety car out. But I think we're gearing up for a really entertaining final race of the weekend.
It's going to be quite a lot of fun. It's going to be exciting. That will be starting at 6:30. If there is, of course, any delays or anything, then we will try bring you it live. If not, then it will be recorded and uploaded exactly like this broadcast. It will just be uploaded later down the line, and you will be able to watch it and see that. But that brings the end to race 3. It has been great to have Tom Cairns in the commentary box. We momentarily cut up there, but we are back now. It's been great to have Tom in the commentary box with us for this Italian F4 Race 3. Huge thanks to all of the drivers once again. And we're now going to see all of them in one race. All of the best in one race, with race 4 deciding who's going to take it all. So it's going to be interesting to see who's going to take it. Join us to find out here on JB Motorsports 2. But next up, go join Formula E qualifying that is currently going on. Goodbye.